But time now to put the focus on the paint sector, because that's the space where we are seeing increased competition and concerns around it. Mr. S Sundaresan, the joint MD and CEO at JSW Paints, joins us to talk to us about that. Hi sir, good to be speaking with you. Well, that entire big launch of Grasim with that 10,000 crore revenue target in 3 years and being profitable has definitely put cat amongst the pigeon, and the street is worried that they have very aggressive targets, and this would mean that there will be a market share loss amongst other players. There would be pressure on distributors, margins, etc. How are you viewing this latest launch, and what do you make of the commentary?
A very good morning to everyone. Um, we, of course, have entered the paints industry a few years back, and right from the beginning, when we entered itself, our view was paint industry has typically had benign competition. And with our entry in 2019, we set the tone for as to how things can be different in the industry, and the route that we have taken, we believe, has emboldened a lot of others to enter. Yes, no, the flavor recently has been Birla's completing their announcement of entering the industry and inaugurating their plants. But our view is competition is always welcome, because in any industry, as you have good and healthy competition, the consumer wins. And we believe in this industry, which was felt to be already a mature industry, but we have been able to enter and do a lot of path-breaking stuff, which gives clearly the indication that there is that much more that can be done. And I'm sure new players coming in will also try their own bit in terms of adding value to the industry. So overall, our outlook is competition is welcome. It is positive. Yes, certainly it would challenge some of the existing players, like what we have been doing. And but we, from our perspective, from JSW Paints perspective, we already entered and have been facing all the established companies. We've been there for many decades or even a century. And we have done well against them. And we are confident that we will be able to continue to do well against emerging competition as well.
Does it threaten your market share target in any way? And also, will you be willing to let go of margins and prices for market share? Because it seems like that Grasim might go a bit aggressive on pricing these products lucrative, that the consumers go for it, and that might impact margins for rest of the players.
True. I think, yes, when there is increased competition, margin is one of the things which gets challenged, and growth is the other thing which gets challenged. So we do anticipate a bit of that to happen. And like I said, in an industry which earlier has been a bit benign in terms of competition and in terms of how it has been correcting itself, we see some of these around how companies approach the price to market, the route to market, and what all they try to drive growth and innovation. Those will see an uptick, and therefore all that augurs well for the industry, for the market, and for the consumer.
Okay.
Right.
Grasim is saying that they want to build a 10,000 crore business in next 2 or 3 years, which means they will have to eat into the market share. If I assume that the paint industry is growing at about 10 to 12%, that also means that they will eat into the market share. Now, if a new entrant with deep pockets is looking at eating or gaining market share from 0 to 10 or 0 to 20, that means either there could be change of pricing structure, there could be new product launches, there could be reboot of distribution. Now, when such a thing happens for an industry like paint, it's always good news for consumer and bad news for companies.
Yes, I mean, you're right. I think the industry has been growing at around around say 10%, and which typically means that annually about 6 to 7,000 crores get added to the overall market size. And in that scenario, if a company is looking to do 10,000 crores within 2-3 years, they will have to eat into competition. And how they are able to, and how successful they are, and who they are eating into, that only time will tell. In terms of whether price and those kind of corrections will happen, it's too early to comment, because uh, the new entrant is still to make the moves in the market. They have announced their plans. So as that rolls out, I think over the next few quarters, some of these things is likely to play out. But yes, competition will increase. Competition will put some pressure on pricing and margins for the industry, and certainly for all the existing players.
My next question is about this entire view on whether the distribution in the entire paint industry will be reworked. Asian Paints follows a different model. They don't have a wholesaler, is what I understand. It goes from the factory to the retailer. JSW follows a different model. Grasim is looking at tying up with the builders. What would be your USP?
So, paint, of course, as an industry, is slightly different from the in a lot of other industries in terms of it is a direct-to-market industry, and so largely there is an institutional segment which all companies do cater to as a separate business segment, because they need their requirements are a bit different, and there is a retail segment which goes to the households, the way the products go to the households, but the industry operates into this thing where companies distribute to a network of paint dealers, and from them it goes to either the domestic user or the institutional user. By and large, I think all companies operate in a similar kind of a model, and I think that's because the industry had got out of distributor kind of a framework. All companies follow this model, and the competition is going to be around how do you get into this network and have a network of retailers who will do that. We've so far not heard of any of the new players also completely challenging and redefining this. We of course had attempted when we launched in terms of a model where a dealer could operate even without investing in a tinting machine in the cities where we tinted and delivered. Unfortunately, that faced certain in a competition aggression, which didn't let that model take off. But those we believe like some of those innovations may come out, but so far I don't think anybody has announced anything which sort of drastically changes this paradigm in terms of how the industry distributes and services the market.
Final question. Are things looking up for the paint industry? 2 years, inflation has been the bugbear for paint industry. Raw material prices have been all over the place. Are we in for a normal year now?
Yes, in terms of from an input raw material context, it has softened, and which is why I think last quarter you saw all the paint companies reporting a lot of growth and profitability, and there is also some price correction because of benign raw material prices, which has already happened. It should have happened almost a year back, but unfortunately the leading companies had not made that move. But some of those moves have happened over the last quarter and this quarter, and therefore at least we foresee a period of stable prices, which should help us focus in terms of doing more development work with in the market and with the consumers, and focus more on growing the market, and that's how I see.
Okay, great to have you on the show. Thanks so much for giving us all that perspective, Mr. Sundaresan.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, and good day.
You too.